Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome to Guns N' Roses Central. And today I wanted to do an episode about the passing of Malcolm Young and sort of his relationship with Guns N' Roses, and talk a bit about Axl, filling in for Brian Johnson on AC/DC. And actually, you might be surprised who was one of the first people to actually break the news that Axl was going to be joining AC/DC. So we'll get all to that. It's been a rough week. I think I've known 3 people personally this week who've passed away, and then it's been a terrible year for music in the sense that a lot of people have passed away who have been real rock legends. Now, if you guys heard yesterday, Malcolm Young passed away, and of course he was one of AC/DC's co-founders. He passed away at 64, and he started the band with his brother back in 1973. And AC/DC put out a statement saying, "Today it's with deep, heartfelt sadness that AC/DC has to announce the passing of Malcolm Young." They wrote in a statement, they said, "Malcolm, along with Angus, was the founder and creator of AC/DC. With enormous dedication and commitment, he was the driving force behind the band. As a guitarist, songwriter, and visionary, he was a perfectionist and a unique man. He always stuck to his guns and said exactly what he wanted. He took pride in all that he endeavored. His loyalty to the fans was unsurpassed." And Angus Young put out a statement saying, "As his brother, it is hard to express words what he meant to me during my life. The bond we had was unique and special, and he leaves behind an enormous legacy that will live on forever. Malcolm, job well done." And this has been a particularly rough year for Angus Young. Not only did his brother pass away yesterday, his other brother, George Young, passed away not too long ago in October. His other brother was 70, and his name was George Young, and he was the Easy Beats guitarist and AC/DC producer, and he was the older brother to both Angus and Malcolm. So Guns N' Roses were playing a concert in Hartford, Connecticut in October of 2017, and they actually dedicated AC/DC cover of Whole Lot of Rosie to George Young. So Axl told the audience, "The next song we're going to do is for a friend of ours, and we dedicate it to his brother who just passed away," Rose told the audience. So this is for Angus Young, and this is dedicated to George Young, who actually produced the song in the day. And even Guns N' Roses' Twitter page announced the dedication. Now, before AC/DC put out their last album, Rock or Bust, it was announced in late 2014 that Malcolm Young was going to be permanently leaving the band due to dementia, and stepping in his place would be his nephew, Stevie Young. So he would fill in for Malcolm when the band went on their 2015 world tour. And his nephew even played rhythm guitar on AC/DC's album Rock or Bust as well. So in the year 2000, Slash put out his second Snake Pit album called Ain't Life Grand, and to support the album, his band actually opened up a number of dates for AC/DC, who was out supporting their new album, A Stiff Upper Lip, and it was called the Stiff Upper Lip Tour. And as of yesterday, Slash actually gave a statement to Rolling Stone talking about the passing of Malcolm Young, and he said, "Malcolm Young was one of the best ever rhythm guitarists in rock and roll. He was a fantastic songwriter, and he had a great work ethic too. I toured with AC/DC on their Stiff Upper Lip Tour. I found Malcolm to be a really cool, down-to-earth fellow. The entire rock and roll community is heartbroken by his passing." Now, Slash did do one interview that I was able to find from when he was actually opening for AC/DC. Here's some just short clips of those.
That sort of mentality didn't necessarily spread throughout the whole band. But for me, it's like, as soon as that goes, I gotta go. That's why I quit.
Like starting over though?
It's the excitement of putting it together, having everybody really into it. Everybody's 100% into it. So it is like starting over in a way, because we had to put the f***ing band together, go out and make our own, put our own this and that together, and then now here we are, we walk out and present it. And that's sort of like what it was like for me with Guns. That's what that was all about. That's the fun of it, man.
Is there still contact with at least stuff?
Yeah, I know. The guys in the band, we've always been the backbone. So we've always been friends, man.
Now, Slash's Snake Pit was supposed to open up more tour dates in 2001 for AC/DC, but they actually had to cancel those tour dates. So if you guys have read Slash's book, you would have known that he actually got sick in 2001 with cardiomyopathy. Now, at that time, they didn't really say why Slash was sick, but there was a statement put out saying Slash's Snake Pit has been forced to cancel the remainder of its opening dates for AC/DC's North America tour, citing a nasty bout of pneumonia contracted by the band's namesake frontman. The band was originally set to open AC/DC Stiff Upper Lip Caravan through April 29th, but those dates are off and no replacement has yet been named. Complying with his doctor's orders to rest, Slash is expected to make a full recovery and plans to resume touring with Snake Pit soon. Slash put out a statement at that time saying, "I apologize to the fans and to AC/DC, but I don't want to get up there and do a half-ass show," Slash said. "I hate to let people down, but it wouldn't be right to give them a performance that's anything less than our best."
Do you mind talking about your, I'm curious about your health. You had some heart difficulties at one point. Do you still have that?
Well, what happened was
a little excessive drinking. I would say alcohol.
How much were you drinking when this problem came on?
It was a good half gallon of vodka a day plus.
Half gallon of vodka a day?
That was at home. Then I would go out. And this went on for about 10 years.
10 years, my God. And it affected your heart in what respect?
I had a cardiomyopathy.
And what does it mean?
It means basically it's a virus that your heart gets, and it weakens your heart muscle.
Right. And what do they do for that?
They told me I had 6 days to 6 weeks to live.
Oh, and so how did that make you feel? How old were you? Just a young man at the time?
35, I think.
So they tell you get maybe 6 days to 6 weeks to live?
Yeah.
And what do they do then?
And I just didn't believe it.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think so. So they said, well, what we want you to do is, obviously stop drinking. And,
Did you stop drinking?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And do some minor exercises to sort of build it, see what happens, build it back into shape. And I did that, and I had my sights on going out and finishing the tour, because this happened during the tour. And I had to cancel a bunch of days. So I was really focused on getting back on the road. I wasn't really thinking about the possibility of really dying. I didn't care what the doctor said.
Right.
So I did what I was supposed to, and eventually got back on the road. But I recovered, which is an amazing thing, because a couple people I know died from the same thing.
Did they give you a pacemaker for this?
They gave me a defibrillator, like a type of pacemaker.
Yeah. And you keep that where, in your hat?
Yeah. No. It's right here, and
good one, huh? Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And in addition to the drinking, a lot of drug use.
Yeah, there was a lot of drug use.
Yeah.
I mean, at that particular time.
But you don't do any of that anymore.
I haven't in about a year and a half.
Wow. Well, good for you.
After I had it implanted, I went for a good year, and then I started with the wine.
Started drinking.
And it started snowballing again.
So you had to cut down altogether. Yeah.
So in 2016, Brian Johnson had to step down as the lead singer of AC/DC to deal with some health issues. And there was rumors floating around the internet that Axl Rose was going to be replacing him. And at that time, AC/DC representatives responded to the rumors, suggesting that Guns N' Roses frontman Axl Rose will join the group as a guest singer, but they didn't really deny or confirm the story, but instead told Enemy they have nothing official to announce. However, there was other members of the band's extended family who apparently confirmed the persistent speculation. So Ross Young, who is the son of retired AC/DC co-founder Malcolm Young, reportedly posted and then deleted a pair of Facebook comments saying it's true and he can and he will, according to Enemy. So meanwhile, Tommy Stinson, a late era bassist with Guns N' Roses, seemed to be congratulating Rose at the exact same time, saying, "Attaboy." He said in a Facebook post, "Go and show the kids how it's done." So it was actually Ross Young who basically confirmed that yes, Axl will be replacing Brian Johnson. And shortly after it was announced that Axl would be joining the band, Angus Young started to do some interviews, and he talked a bit about enlisting Axl and not being able to play with Malcolm Young. So he was asked, how did you get Axl to step in for Brian? So Axl actually contacted a production guy who had done stuff for us. He said, "I know these guys, they have a work ethic, they want to finish these dates." He volunteered. He came to a rehearsal space we set up in Atlanta, and he'd done his homework. He had a few songs like Touch Too Much, Can You Play This One? No, we never even learned it. We never even attempted to play it live. And then he was asked, does Axl sound more like Brian or the late Bon Scott? He said he's more in the Bon style, the rock and roll character, and he's got his own folky humor. He's pretty quick with a quip, and Axl has different vocal ranges. You can hear him one way on a Bon song, then he can flip and do Brian, the higher register. He was also asked about Malcolm's guitar playing and how it meshed with his personality. He said, he was older than me. I always looked up to him. In the studio, I would fiddle about with guitar sounds and fiddle my way right out of the ball field. Malcolm would dial me in, a big fat sound, and I'd go, oh wow. When Guns N' Roses were touring Europe this past summer, they actually had Angus Young come out on stage and perform with them a number of times. So while Guns were in the Netherlands, he came on stage and joined them to play Riff Raff, and they also did Whole Lotta Rosie. And then when they were also playing in Germany, he joined the band on stage. He's also been backstage at a few Guns N' Roses shows, but hasn't necessarily made an appearance. He was at their last show at Madison Square Garden, but he didn't come out on stage. And then we also had some tweets from the other members of Guns N' Roses and former members of Guns N' Roses. So Duff McKagan said, sincerest condolences going out to the Young family today. Malcolm Young sadly passing too soon. I love ya, Angus. We also had Matt Sorum, whose birthday is around today, and he said, thank you, Malcolm, for the greatest rock and roll riffs ever. Hashtag rock and peace. And then we also had Gilby Clarke, who tweeted out that he was easily the best rhythm guitarist ever. We didn't have anything yet from legendary guitarist DJ Ashba, but he did tweet out you can shop Ashba, available now at Ashba Clothing at the Stratosphere in Vegas, so you guys can go check that out. So Guns N' Roses played Sacramento, California last night on November 18th, 2017, and they dedicated Whole Lotta Rosie to Malcolm Young. So this is actually a photo from the concert last night, and that basically wraps up this episode of Guns N' Roses True Story. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, and be sure to hit the subscribe button if you love Guns N' Roses as much as I do. Take care.